Rebecca Walsh stared at the encrypted message on her screen. Cardinal, City Manager Thomas Crane is stealing millions. I have proof. Meet me and I'll give you everything. Rebecca had been an investigative journalist for 8 years. She'd seen plenty of tips. Most were conspiracy theories or personal vendettas, but something about this one felt different. The sender had included a document, internal budget reports from Riverside City Hall, showing a $4.2 million discrepancy in infrastructure funds. She called her editor, Marcus Chen. I need you to look at something. 20 minutes later, Marcus whistled low. If this is real, it's huge. Thomas Crane has been city manager for 12 years, untouchable, beloved, which makes him the perfect target for a smear campaign, or the perfect criminal. Marcus leaned back. Meet your source. But be careful. Verify everything. Rebecca replied to Cardinal. I'm interested. How do we meet? The response came instantly. Too dangerous face-to-face yet. I'll send you evidence piece by piece. You verify it. Publish when ready. Lives depend on this. Over the next week, Cardinal sent documents, emails, bank statements. Every piece checked out. City funds routed through shell companies. Contracts awarded to Crane's brother-in-law. Bids rigged. Rebecca wrote her first article. Riverside City Manager under investigation for contract fraud. The story exploded. City Council called for an inquiry. Crane held a press conference, denying everything, looking shaken. But what bothered Rebecca was how perfect the evidence was. Too organized, too convenient. She messaged Cardinal. Who are you? Why are you doing this? Because no one else will. Because Crane has protected himself with layers of loyal people. I'm risking everything to give you this. That night, Rebecca couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, but the evidence was real, and justice demanded exposure. 3 weeks into the investigation, Rebecca had published 5 articles, each one more damaging than the last. Her second article exposed Police Chief Raymond Foster taking bribes from Crane to ignore building code violations. Foster resigned within 48 hours. The third revealed Judge Patricia Moreno had dismissed fraud charges against Crane's companies in exchange for campaign contributions. Moreno was suspended pending review. The fourth showed that City Attorney David Lynn had buried evidence of Crane's corruption. Lynn was fired. The fifth proved that 3 city council members had taken kickbacks. All 3 resigned. Riverside was in chaos. The entire city leadership was imploding. Rebecca was being hailed as a hero. Awards, interview requests, a book deal offer. But Marcus noticed something during their weekly meeting. Rebecca, doesn't it seem odd that everyone connected to Crane is falling, except Crane himself? What do you mean? Foster, Moreno, Lynn, the council members. They're all gone. But Crane is still city manager. Every investigation clears him. Every audit shows his department clean. It's like he's being protected, or like he's protecting himself by sacrificing everyone around him. Marcus pulled up a chart. Look at the pattern. Every person you've exposed was someone who could theoretically hold power over Crane or challenge him. Foster controlled police. Moreno could prosecute. Lynn handled legal matters. The council members could vote him out. Rebecca felt cold. You think Cardinal is eliminating Crane's rivals? I think we need to be very careful about who we're really helping. That night, Rebecca confronted Cardinal. I need to meet you, face to face. No more anonymous messages, not yet. There's one more person, the most important. Deputy Mayor Helen Voss. She's been Crane's partner from the beginning. I have proof she ordered the murder of a city auditor in 2019. Rebecca's blood ran cold. Murder. Send me everything. Cardinal sent video footage, audio recordings, documents. Helen Voss discussing removing auditor James Patterson, who had discovered the fraud. Patterson had died in a car accident, ruled mechanical failure, but the recording suggested otherwise. Rebecca spent 3 days verifying. The evidence was airtight. She published, Deputy Mayor connected to auditor's death. Helen Voss was arrested within hours, and Thomas Crane, city manager, gave a tearful press conference. I trusted Helen. I trusted all of them. I had no idea the corruption ran so deep. As city manager, I take responsibility for not seeing it sooner, but I promise the citizens of Riverside, I will rebuild this city on integrity and transparency. The city rallied behind him. A hero, a survivor, the last honest man standing. Rebecca watched the press conference from her apartment, a sick feeling in her stomach. Marcus called. "Something's very wrong here." "I know. Meet with Cardinal. Tonight. Demand answers." Rebecca sent the message. "We meet now, or I stop publishing." A long pause. Then, "Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. The Riverside Cafe on 5th Street. Come alone." The Riverside Cafe was nearly empty at 9 p.m. Rebecca sat in a corner booth, her phone recording in her pocket. A man entered, mid-50s, tired eyes, nervous hands. He sat across from her. "I'm Michael Torres, former deputy city attorney. I've been Cardinal." Rebecca studied him. He looked genuinely frightened. "Why now? Why reveal yourself?" "Because I can't carry this anymore." Torres's hands shook. "Everything I gave you is true. Every document, every recording. But there's something you need to know." "I'm listening." "Thomas Crane isn't the victim of this corruption. He's the architect." Torres pulled out a folder. 6 years ago, I discovered what he was doing. I tried to report it. He threatened my family. Said if I ever spoke, they'd die. So, you stayed quiet." "I stayed quiet. And I watched him build an empire. Police chiefs, judges, city attorneys. Everyone was either on his payroll or too scared to act." Torres leaned forward. "Then I realized something. The people protecting him were also the people who could expose him. So I decided to give you evidence to take them down." Rebecca's stomach dropped. "You used me to eliminate Crane's accomplices. I used you to eliminate his protection. Foster would have buried any investigation. Moreno would have dismissed charges. Lynn would have provided legal cover. The council members would have protected him in votes." Torres's voice cracked. "And Helen Voss, she was his enforcer. She killed Patterson. She killed 3 others we don't even know about. But by removing them, I cleared the board. Now Crane stands alone, no one left to protect him. No one left to take the fall." Torres pushed the folder across the table. "This is the evidence on Crane himself. His offshore accounts, his murder orders, everything. But I can't be the one to give it to you officially. If my name is attached, I'm dead." Rebecca opened the folder. Her hands trembled. Bank statements showing $18 million in hidden accounts. Emails ordering removals. Video of Crane meeting with organized crime figures. Why not go to the FBI? Because Crane has people there too. The only way to expose him is through the press. Through you. Once it's public, he can't silence it. Torres stood. "I'm sorry I used you, but I couldn't see another way. Publish this. Finish what we started." He walked out. Rebecca sat alone with the folder. She'd been manipulated, used. Her articles had cleared Crane's path to absolute power. But Torres was right about one thing. The evidence against Crane was real. She could walk away, admit she'd been played, destroy her credibility, or she could finish the job. She opened her laptop and started writing. Rebecca worked through the night, verifying Torres's evidence. Everything checked out. Crane's offshore accounts, the murder orders, the organized crime connections. At 3 a.m., she sent the article to Marcus. "City Manager Thomas Crane, the real criminal." Marcus called immediately. "This is... Jesus, Rebecca. If we publish this, we're accusing a beloved city official of murder. Because he committed murder. Based on evidence from a source who already lied to you, who used you to eliminate Crane's enemies. Torres didn't lie. He just didn't tell me the full truth." "That's the same thing." Marcus's voice was strained. "Rebecca, think. Torres gave you people who could challenge Crane. You took them down. Now Crane is the most powerful man in the city, and you want to destroy him with evidence from the same source who manipulated you. So we do nothing? No. We bring this to the FBI. Let them investigate properly." Torres said Crane has people in the FBI. "And you believe him? After he used you?" Rebecca closed her eyes. Marcus was right. She'd been played once. How did she know she wasn't being played again? "I need to talk to Crane," she said. "Hear his side." "That's insane. If he's really behind this, then he'll deny it and I'll know." Rebecca made her decision. "I'm going to City Hall tomorrow. I'm going to ask him directly." She hung up before Marcus could argue. But as she tried to sleep, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Miss Walsh, this is City Manager Crane. I'd like to speak with you. Privately. Tonight, if possible. I know what Michael Torres told you. And I can explain everything." Rebecca stared at the message. How did Crane know about Torres? Unless Torres had already gone to him. Unless this was all a trap. She replied, "Where?" "My office, City Hall, midnight. Come alone, and I'll tell you the truth." City Hall was dark except for one lit office on the third floor. Rebecca's every instinct screamed this was a mistake, but she'd come too far to stop now. The building was unlocked. She took the elevator to the third floor. Thomas Crane stood in his office doorway, tall, silver-haired, distinguished. He looked like someone's grandfather. "Miss Walsh, thank you for coming." His voice was warm, gentle. "Please sit." His office was elegant. Photos with presidents, governors, celebrities, awards covering the walls. "You said you could explain," Rebecca said, staying standing. Crane smiled sadly. "Michael Torres is a troubled man. Brilliant once, but he broke. 6 years ago he was caught embezzling $200,000 from the city. I could have prosecuted him, sent him to prison. But I gave him a choice. Resign quietly, get help, and I'd keep it quiet. That's not what he told me. I know what he told you. That I threatened his family, that I'm some criminal mastermind." Crane sat behind his desk. "But Rebecca, may I call you Rebecca? Think about it logically. Every person you exposed had real crimes, real corruption, real evidence. I didn't fabricate that. They did those things. But they were also your rivals. They were criminals who happened to oppose me, yes, but that doesn't make their crimes less real." He pulled out a file. "This is Torres's embezzlement case. Sealed, but I kept a copy. Read it." Rebecca took the file. Documents showing Torres stealing money over 2 years. Bank records. His own confession. "He stole to pay gambling debts," Crane continued. "When I confronted him, he begged for mercy. Said his family would be destroyed. So I showed mercy, and this is how he repays me, by framing me for his own crimes." Rebecca felt the ground shifting beneath her. "The evidence he gave me about you, fabricated or taken out of context. Yes, I have offshore accounts. They're legal investment vehicles, fully disclosed to the IRS. Yes, I've met with people who have criminal connections. Part of city management is dealing with all elements of society. And yes, I've used the word remove in emails, about removing bureaucratic obstacles, not people." He stood, walked to the window. "Rebecca, you're a good journalist. You verify facts, you seek truth. But Torres exploited that. He gave you real corruption to establish trust, then mixed in lies about me. And now if you publish his claims, you'll destroy an innocent man and vindicate the real criminals you already exposed." Rebecca's mind raced. It all made terrible sense. "How did you know I met with Torres?" Crane turned back. "Because I've been tracking him since he left my office. I knew he'd try something eventually. When your articles started destroying my administration, I knew it was him. I hoped you'd see through it before it was too late. If you're innocent, why not go public, defend yourself? And say what? That a disgraced former city attorney is framing me? It sounds paranoid, defensive." Crane sat again. "But you, Rebecca, you can expose Torres, write the real story. How a corrupt official manipulated a journalist to destroy his enemies and frame an innocent man." He slid a folder across the desk. "Everything you need. Torres's embezzlement records, his psychiatric evaluations, his gambling debts, his motive for revenge." Rebecca stared at the folder. "Write the truth," Crane said softly. "Clear my name. And expose the real devil." Rebecca left City Hall at 1 a.m., the folder under her arm. She drove aimlessly, mind spinning. Torres or Crane? One was lying. But which? She parked at an overlook above the city, opened both folders, compared evidence. Torres's evidence against Crane. Offshore accounts, crime connections, suspicious emails. Crane's evidence against Torres. Embezzlement, gambling debts, psychiatric issues. Both could be true. Both could be false. Her phone rang. "Marcus. Where are you? I've been worried sick. I met with Crane." "You what?" "Rebecca, if he's guilty, he gave me evidence that Torres is the real criminal, that Torres used me for revenge." Silence. Then, "Do you believe him?" "I don't know what to believe anymore." "Then we pull everything. We don't publish anything until we're sure." "Marcus, we published 5 articles that destroyed people's careers. We can't just walk away." "We can, if we were wrong." Rebecca closed her eyes. "What if we weren't wrong? What if they were all guilty and Crane is guilty too? Or what if Crane is innocent and you're about to destroy him based on evidence from a man who already manipulated you?" Rebecca didn't have an answer. "Come to the office," Marcus said. "We'll figure this out together." At the Riverside Times office, Rebecca spread everything across the conference table. Marcus reviewed it all, making notes. "Okay," he said finally. "Here's what we know for certain. Foster, Moreno, Lynn, the council members and Voss were all genuinely corrupt. The evidence against them was real." "Agreed. Torres admits he gave you that evidence specifically to remove them." "Right. But Torres claims he did it to isolate Crane, and Crane claims Torres did it for revenge." Marcus tapped the table. "The question is, what's Crane's actual involvement?" Rebecca pulled up her original articles. "Every piece of evidence Torres gave me pointed to corruption around Crane. Not by Crane. Foster taking bribes, but never directly from Crane. Moreno dismissing charges, but the payments came from Pax, not Crane personally. Lynn burying evidence, but Crane could argue he didn't know. So Crane has plausible deniability for everything, which could mean he's innocent or incredibly clever." Marcus stood, paced. "We need independent verification. Someone with no connection to either Torres or Crane." "Who?" "The FBI, specifically Agent Sarah Chen. I know her. She's clean, thorough, and she owes me a favor." He checked his watch. "It's 2 a.m., but this can't wait." He called. The conversation was brief. "She's coming, 1 hour." FBI Special Agent Sarah Chen arrived at 3 a.m., looking alert despite the hour. Marcus said this was urgent. She sat, eyeing the evidence spread across the table. "Walk me through it." Rebecca explained everything. The 6 weeks of articles, Torres's revelation, Crane's counter-evidence. Chen listened without interrupting. When Rebecca finished, Chen was quiet for a long moment. "We've been investigating Thomas Crane for 2 years," she said finally. Rebecca's heart stopped. "What?" "Quietly, very quietly, because Crane has connections everywhere, including in federal law enforcement." Chen pulled out her own folder. "Your articles actually helped us. Every time you exposed someone in Crane's network, it weakened his protection. So Torres was telling the truth? Partially. Yes, Crane is dirty, deeply dirty. But Torres isn't the hero he pretends to be." Chen showed them documents. Michael Torres wasn't embezzling to pay gambling debts. He was embezzling as part of Crane's operation. When he got caught, Crane made him the fall guy. Torres took the deal, resign quietly or go to prison. So he wanted revenge. More than that. Torres knew if he went to the FBI, Crane would kill him. So he found another way. Use a journalist to destroy Crane's network, then expose Crane himself. Chen met Rebecca's eyes. "You were his weapon. And it worked." Marcus leaned forward. "If you've been investigating Crane for 2 years, why haven't you arrested him?" "Because until your articles, we couldn't touch him. Every witness was compromised or scared. Every piece of evidence could be explained away. But now," Chen smiled, "now his network is gone. His protectors are exposed, and we have enough to move." "You're arresting him?" "Tomorrow. Public arrest. Federal charges. Murder, racketeering, corruption, conspiracy." Chen gathered her documents. "But I need your help with something." "What?" "Don't publish anything. Not Torres's evidence. Not Crane's counter-evidence. Nothing. If Crane thinks you're still investigating, he won't run. But if he sees a story accusing him, he'll disappear before we can move." Rebecca felt torn. "I've already destroyed 5 people's careers. 5 corrupt people who deserved it," Chen interrupted. "But you also helped us build a case against someone far worse. Don't second-guess yourself now." After Chen left, Rebecca sat in silence. "What are you thinking?" Marcus asked. "I'm thinking I was used. By Torres. By Crane. Maybe even by the FBI. You were used to expose corruption, isn't that the point?" "The point is truth, not being someone's weapon." Marcus nodded. "So what do you do?" Rebecca looked at her laptop, at the unpublished article about Crane, at Torres's evidence and Crane's counter-evidence. "I write the real story," she said. "Not the one Torres wanted, not the one Crane wants, the one that's true, which is that I was manipulated, that I helped take down a criminal network without knowing it, and that the devil spoke and I listened." The next morning, Rebecca watched from across the street as federal agents swarmed City Hall. Thomas Crane was led out in handcuffs, his face shocked, devastated, cameras everywhere. His reputation destroyed in seconds. Rebecca felt nothing. No triumph, no satisfaction, just exhaustion. Her phone buzzed. "Marcus, Chen wants to see you." FBI office. At the FBI field office, Chen led Rebecca to a conference room. Crane's in custody. We seized his computers, his offshore accounts, everything. It'll take months to build the full case, but we've got him. Chen sat across from her. And we have Torres, too. What? We arrested him an hour ago. He's being charged as an accessory to Crane's crimes. The embezzlement was real, Rebecca. He was part of the conspiracy until Crane threw him under the bus. Rebecca felt numb. So everyone was lying. Everyone was guilty. Crane, Torres, Foster, Moreno, Voss, all of them. Chen leaned forward. But that doesn't change the fact that you exposed real corruption. You helped us take down a criminal network. Don't let Torres's manipulation take that away from you. I should feel good about it. But you don't. I feel used. Chen nodded. That's because you were. But Rebecca, investigative journalism is messy. Sources lie. Motives are complicated. You verify what you can and trust your judgment. You did that. Everything you published was true. But I didn't publish the whole truth. Nobody ever does. We all see part of the picture. Chen stood. Write your story. The real one. How it felt. What you learned, how corruption works, that's the story that matters. Rebecca's final article was published 3 days later. Title: The Devil Spoke and I Listened. How I Became a Weapon Against Corruption. For 6 weeks, I believed I was exposing corruption in Riverside's city government. I was right, but I was also wrong. My source, who I called Cardinal, fed me evidence of genuine crimes. Police Chief Raymond Foster was taking bribes. Judge Patricia Moreno was dismissing charges for money. City Attorney David Lynn was burying investigations. 3 city council members were accepting kickbacks. Deputy Mayor Helen Voss ordered the murder of a city auditor. All of this was true. What I didn't know was that Cardinal, former Deputy City Attorney Michael Torres, was using me to destroy the criminal network he'd helped build, and that the man he wanted me to expose, City Manager Thomas Crane, was the architect of it all. Torres wasn't a whistleblower. He was a criminal seeking revenge against his former boss. He gave me real evidence of real crimes, but he did it to clear Crane's path, eliminating everyone who could protect or challenge him. When I finally met Torres face to face, he told me the truth. You've been reporting on me. Every article I'd written had destroyed Crane's network, leaving him isolated and vulnerable. Torres hadn't wanted to expose corruption. He wanted to help the FBI arrest Crane by removing his protection, and it worked. Thomas Crane was arrested yesterday on federal charges of murder, racketeering and corruption. Michael Torres was arrested as an accessory. Both are in custody. I should feel vindicated. I should feel like a hero. Instead, I feel like a weapon, because that's what I was. Torres pointed me at targets and I fired. Yes, those targets were guilty. Yes, they deserved exposure, but I wasn't seeking truth. I was being aimed. As journalists, we rely on sources. We verify their information, but we can't always verify their motives. We trust that people come forward because they want justice, not revenge. Sometimes we're wrong. I don't regret exposing Foster, Moreno, Lynn, Voss, or the council members. They were corrupt and they needed to face consequences, but I regret that I didn't see the bigger picture. I regret that I allowed myself to be used. The lesson I take from this is simple. Truth is complicated. Sources are human. Motives are mixed. And sometimes the devil speaks and we listen because what he's saying is true. The question isn't whether we listen, it's what we do with what we hear, and whether we're brave enough to admit when we've been played. The article went viral. Debate erupted. Some called Rebecca honest and courageous. Others said she was naive and incompetent. Rebecca didn't care. She'd written the truth. 3 months later, the trials were underway. Thomas Crane faced 47 charges. Helen Voss had pleaded guilty to murder. Michael Torres accepted a deal, 10 years in exchange for testimony against Crane. Raymond Foster, Patricia Moreno, David Lynn, and the 3 council members all faced their own charges. Some pleaded guilty, some fought. All would face consequences. Riverside had a new city manager, new police chief, new city attorney. The FBI had recommended a complete overhaul of city government. And Rebecca Walsh had won 3 journalism awards for her corruption series, but she sat in her apartment, staring at her laptop, feeling empty. Marcus knocked, let himself in. "You okay?" "I don't know." He sat beside her. The Crane verdict came in. Guilty on all counts, life in prison. Rebecca nodded. "Good. So why don't you look happy?" "Because I keep thinking about Torres. about how easy it was to manipulate me, how I never questioned whether he had other motives. You verified every fact he gave you, but I didn't verify him. Marcus was quiet. Then, Rebecca, you're human. Sources lie. It happens. But you exposed real corruption. You helped put genuinely bad people in prison. That matters. Does it? Or did I just help one criminal destroy his rivals? Both. And that's the truth you wrote about. Marcus stood. Come on. I'm buying you dinner. I'm not hungry. Too bad. You need to eat, and I need to tell you about your next assignment. Rebecca looked up. I'm not sure I want another assignment. This one's different. No anonymous sources. No hidden motives. He smiled. I want you to investigate how cities can rebuild after corruption scandals, interview the new Riverside administration, talk to other cities that went through similar transitions, write about recovery. That's not my usual beat. No. But maybe it should be. Marcus held out his hand. You spent 6 weeks exposing what's wrong. Spend 6 weeks showing what's right. Rebecca considered, then took his hand and stood. Okay, but I'm writing honestly. If the new administration is corrupt too, then you expose them, that's the job. Marcus headed for the door. But Rebecca, most people aren't corrupt. Most people are trying their best. Remember that. After he left, Rebecca opened her laptop to a new document. Title, Rebuilding How Riverside Can Rise from Ashes. She started typing. Because Torres had been right about one thing. Silence protects corruption. Speaking out exposes it. Even when the speaker has complicated motives, even when the listener is being used, the truth still matters, and someone has to tell it, even if, especially if, telling it is messy, complicated, and morally grey. Rebecca thought about Crane in prison, Torres in prison, the officials she'd exposed facing justice. Had she done good, or had she been a weapon? Maybe both. Maybe that was okay. She kept writing about the new city manager who'd promised transparency, about the community leaders demanding oversight, about citizens who refused to accept corruption as normal, about a city trying to heal, because that was a story worth telling too, not about devils who speak, but about people who listen, learn, and try to build something better from the ruins. Rebecca worked until dawn, writing about hope instead of corruption, about solutions instead of problems. And for the first time in months, she felt like a journalist again. Not a weapon, not a tool, just someone trying to tell the truth, as complicated and messy as it was. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Miss Walsh, I have information about the new city manager. He's not who you think he is. We should talk. Phoenix. Rebecca stared at the message. Another anonymous source. Another potential manipulation. She deleted it. Then she wrote a response to the sender. If you have evidence of corruption, take it to the FBI. I'm no longer accepting anonymous tips without full verification of source identity and motives. She hit send. Because she'd learned her lesson. The devil spoke once. She wouldn't listen again, not without knowing exactly who was talking and why.